Hello everyone. Today we will talk about strategy formulation, functional strategy, and strategic choice. Functional strategy refers to the specific approach that different departments within a business unit take to align with corporate and business objectives while maximizing resource productivity. Each business unit has its own functional strategies, influenced by its overarching competitive strategy. For instance, a unit pursuing differentiation through high quality would adopt a manufacturing strategy focused on quality assurance, a human resources strategy aimed at hiring skilled workers, and a marketing strategy that emphasizes creating consumer demand. In contrast, a unit focused on low-cost competition would require different functional strategies. Additionally, functional strategies may need to adapt to regional markets. For example, when Mr. Donut expanded into Japan, it marketed donuts as snacks rather than breakfast items, aligning its offerings with local customs and preferences. This included strategic restaurant locations and marketing in English to attract Japanese consumers. Marketing strategy. Marketing strategy focuses on the pricing, selling, and distribution of products to achieve business goals. It aims to either capture a larger share of existing markets or explore new uses and markets for current products. Companies like Procter & Gamble and Unilever excel in market saturation and penetration strategies, utilizing effective advertising to maintain dominant positions in their product categories. They often introduce new and improved variations to extend product life cycles, appealing to various market niches. In contrast, companies such as Arm and Hammer find new applications for their products, like baking soda, to tap into different consumer needs. Product development strategies can be categorized into two main approaches. The first involves creating new products for existing markets, exemplified by Church & Dwight's innovation in using baking soda for products like toothpaste and deodorant. The second strategy focuses on developing new products for new markets, as seen with Arm & Hammer's pollution reduction solutions targeted at coal-fired power plants. Brand extension is another effective tactic, where established brands, such as Smith & Wesson, leverage their names to market various products, thus attracting their existing customer base. In terms of advertising and promotion, companies can adopt either a push or pull strategy. The push strategy involves significant investment in trade promotions to secure retail shelf space, while the pull strategy focuses on consumer advertising to build brand awareness and demand. For instance, Kellogg's shift from a push to a pull strategy highlights the importance of consumer-driven marketing in enhancing product visibility. Distribution and pricing decisions are critical components of marketing strategy. Companies may choose to sell through distributors or directly to consumers, leading to potential conflicts, as demonstrated by John Deere's dual-channel approach. Regarding pricing, businesses may opt for skim pricing to maximize profits on new products or penetration pricing to quickly gain market share. The latter is often associated with higher long-term profitability. Additionally, the rise of e-commerce allows for dynamic pricing, where prices can fluctuate based on demand, market segment, and product availability, enabling companies to respond more effectively to market changes. Financial strategy. Financial strategy focuses on the financial implications of corporate and business-level strategies, aiming to identify the most advantageous financial actions to maximize a firm's value. A key aspect of this strategy is balancing the debt-to-equity ratio with cash flow from internal financing. Many family-owned businesses, such as Herschel Laboratories, prefer to avoid external financing to maintain control, while larger firms like Apple Inc. prioritize a strong balance sheet for flexibility. However, some analysts argue that leveraging long-term debt can enhance earnings per share and overall company value, as higher debt levels may deter takeovers and improve management focus on core operations. The choice between equity and debt financing is influenced by a firm's diversification strategy. Equity is often favored for related diversification, while debt is used for unrelated diversification. This shift toward related acquisitions has led to an increase in stock-financed deals. One common financial strategy is the leveraged buyout (LBO), where a company is acquired primarily through debt. While this can lead to high returns, the burden of debt may pressure management to focus on short-term profitability, often resulting in declining performance over time. Studies show that many LBOs struggle to maintain cash flow sufficient to cover interest payments, leading to potential declines in financial health. Dividends and stock price management are also crucial components of financial strategy. Fast-growing firms often reinvest profits rather than declare dividends, reflecting growth in stock prices. In contrast, companies like Whirlpool may offer consistent dividends to support stock value. Another strategy involves stock buybacks, which can increase earnings per share and stock prices, but may indicate a lack of investment opportunities. Reverse stock splits are sometimes employed to raise share prices without addressing fundamental issues, often leading to long-term underperformance. Additionally, some companies have adopted innovative strategies such as selling patents. Firms like AT&T and American Express sell non-core patents to generate capital, often using intermediaries to manage the sales process. This approach allows companies to monetize assets while reallocating resources to more strategic initiatives. Research and development (R&D) strategy. R&D strategy focuses on product and process innovation, determining the optimal mix of various R&D types, basic, product, or process, and deciding how to access new technologies through internal development, external acquisition, or strategic alliances. Companies can choose to be technological leaders, pioneering innovations, or technological followers, imitating competitors' products. This choice can help achieve either low-cost or differentiation strategies. For example, Nike exemplifies a leader R&D strategy by investing heavily in research to differentiate its athletic shoes, appealing to serious athletes. Conversely, Dean Foods adopts a follower strategy, offering similar quality products at lower prices to attract customers. Increasingly, firms collaborate with suppliers to keep pace with technological advancements, as seen with Chrysler, which leverages supplier expertise in its car designs to reduce development costs. A growing trend in R&D is open innovation, where companies engage with external entities, corporate, academic, and consumer networks, to develop new products. Intel, for instance, has established research facilities near universities to foster idea exchange. Similarly, organizations like Big Idea Group help toy manufacturers source new concepts from inventors. IBM utilizes the open-source Linux operating system, benefiting from continuous improvements by a global developer community. Procter & Gamble has adopted an open innovation model, aiming for half of its innovations to come from external sources, a shift from just 10% in 2000. This strategy includes employing technology scouts to identify promising ideas outside the company. Corporate venture capital is another approach, allowing large firms like IBM and Microsoft to invest in emerging high-tech startups, gaining access to innovative technologies at lower costs than internal development. Operations strategy shapes how a company produces goods and services. It involves decisions about manufacturing location, technology use, resource deployment, supplier relationships, and the degree of vertical integration. Because national conditions differ, firms often adjust their design and manufacturing choices across countries. Advanced manufacturing technology (AMT), such as CAD/CAM, robotics, and just-in-time systems, has transformed operations by enabling greater flexibility, faster response times, and higher productivity, though these advances raise fixed costs and require economies of scale to be viable. Manufacturing strategies evolve with the product life cycle. At early stages, products may be produced in small lots through job shops, then move to batch flow and flexible manufacturing systems, and finally to automated mass production as demand grows. Over time, efficiency replaces flexibility as products become standardized commodities. Historically, mass production dominated, offering low-cost goods but often with lower quality and repetitive work. By the 1970s, Japanese firms popularized continuous improvement, empowering workers to suggest process enhancements and improving both cost and quality. This system has since replaced mass production in many industries. New strategies have emerged to further improve efficiency and responsiveness. Modular manufacturing, used in the auto industry, relies on suppliers to deliver pre-assembled modules for quick final assembly, boosting productivity. Meanwhile, mass customization challenges traditional mass production by blending efficiency with personalized products, enabled by flexible systems and digital platforms. Companies like Dell illustrate how customers can design tailored products at scale. Purchasing strategy. Purchasing strategy focuses on acquiring the raw materials, parts, and supplies essential for operations, which account for about 50% of total manufacturing costs in countries like the UK, US, and Australia. There are three primary approaches to purchasing: multiple sourcing, sole sourcing, and parallel sourcing. Multiple sourcing involves ordering parts from several vendors, which encourages competition among suppliers and helps maintain a steady supply if one vendor fails to deliver. However, this approach can lead to a focus on the lowest bids, potentially compromising quality. Sole sourcing, recommended by management consultant W. Edward Deming, relies on a single supplier for a specific part. This method fosters closer collaboration between the buyer and supplier, enhancing quality and reducing costs and design time. It aligns well with just-in-time JIT practices, where parts arrive precisely when needed, minimizing inventory. An advanced form, JIT2, involves suppliers working closely with the buying company, often having representatives on site to streamline processes and improve communication. While sole sourcing can enhance quality and build long-term partnerships, it also presents risks. If a sole supplier fails, production may be delayed. To mitigate this, parallel sourcing is used, where two suppliers serve as primary and backup sources for different parts, providing flexibility and security in supply chains. The increasing use of the Internet in purchasing has transformed sourcing practices. Companies like Hewlett-Packard have implemented web-based procurement systems, leading to significant cost savings. Research indicates that businesses utilizing internet technologies can reduce administrative costs and purchase prices, further optimizing their purchasing strategies. Logistics strategy. Logistics strategy focuses on managing the flow of products into and out of the manufacturing process, with three notable trends: centralization, outsourcing, and the use of the Internet. Centralization involves consolidating logistics functions at a corporation's headquarters to achieve synergies across business units. Centralized logistics teams, comprised of transportation experts, aggregate shipping volumes to secure better contracts with carriers. Companies like Georgia-Pacific and Marriott leverage logistics as a competitive differentiator to add value and reduce costs. Outsourcing logistics has become a popular strategy for many firms, as it can lower costs and enhance delivery efficiency. For instance, HP outsourced its inbound raw materials warehousing to roadway logistics, resulting in a more streamlined operation with fewer employees while reallocating HP workers to other roles. The use of the Internet is also transforming logistics. Ace Hardware, for example, developed an online ordering system that enables retailers to optimize their orders. This system encourages full pallet orders, reducing repackaging needs and minimizing delivery losses. Consequently, ACE has seen significant reductions in transportation and warehouse costs, enhancing overall logistical efficiency. Human Resource Management (HRM) Strategy. HRM strategy focuses on key decisions regarding employee hiring practices and team structures. Companies must decide whether to hire a large number of low-skilled, low-paid workers for repetitive tasks, like McDonald's, or to employ skilled, higher-paid employees who are cross-trained for self-managing work teams. As work complexity increases, team-based approaches become more beneficial, especially in innovative product development. Multinational corporations are increasingly adopting self-managing teams in both domestic and foreign operations, leading to improved quality, productivity, and employee satisfaction. Organizations that differentiate themselves through high quality often utilize input from subordinates and peers in performance appraisals more extensively. The 360-degree appraisal method, which gathers feedback from multiple sources, is gaining popularity, used by over 10% of U.S. companies. Some firms, like HCL Technologies, even publish appraisal ratings for transparency. Diversity in the workforce is recognized as a competitive advantage. Research shows that companies with a high degree of racial diversity can achieve higher productivity, particularly when pursuing growth strategies. For instance, Avon successfully revitalized its inner-city markets by appointing African American and Hispanic managers. Additionally, diversity in age and nationality can enhance team performance, as seen with DuPont's multinational teams. McDonald's has found that older workers often exhibit strong motivation and discipline, sometimes outperforming younger employees. Information Technology Strategy. Corporations are increasingly leveraging information technology (IT) strategy to gain competitive advantages. For instance, FedEx's introduction of the PowerShip software for customers to store addresses, print labels, and track packages resulted in a significant sales increase. Following suit, UPS developed its own software, MaxiShips, and both companies emphasized package tracking in their marketing efforts. Despite arguments that IT has become ubiquitous and less distinctive, global spending on IT remains over $2 trillion annually. Multinational corporations benefit from sophisticated intranet systems that enable follow-the-sun management, allowing project teams in different time zones to collaborate without the need for night shifts. Instant translation software further facilitates communication among international teams. For example, Mattel has reduced product development time by 10% through enhanced collaboration across countries, while IBM utilizes its intranet for employee skill improvement, cutting training and travel costs. Additionally, many companies like Lockheed Martin, General Electric, and Whirlpool utilize advanced extranets to strengthen relationships with customers and suppliers. General Electric's trading process network allows suppliers to access requests for proposals and communicate directly with purchasing managers, reducing processing time by 1/3. These IT applications make outsourcing more efficient and appealing compared to vertical integration. Functional strategy and outsourcing overview. For a functional strategy to succeed, it should leverage a distinctive competency within that area. If a corporation lacks such a competency, outsourcing may be a viable option. Outsourcing involves purchasing products or services that were previously provided internally, effectively reversing vertical integration. It is increasingly recognized as a strategic decision that can enhance efficiency and quality. A study found that outsourcing led to an average 9% reduction in costs and a 15% increase in capacity and quality. Boeing exemplifies effective outsourcing with its 787 Dreamliner, where up to 70% of the work was outsourced, allowing for a significant reduction in build time. An American Management Association survey revealed that 94% of firms outsource at least one activity, primarily in areas such as general administration, human resources, and manufacturing. However, 25% of respondents reported dissatisfaction with outsourcing results, leading many to bring functions back in-house. Despite this, the trend toward outsourcing is expected to grow, particularly in customer service and clerical functions. Offshoring refers to outsourcing activities to a wholly owned company or independent provider in another country. This global trend has been facilitated by advancements in technology and logistics. Currently, India dominates the offshoring market, but other countries like Brazil and China are emerging due to their low-cost, skilled labor forces. More than 93% of companies engage in offshoring primarily to cut costs, with significant wage differences noted in manufacturing roles. Disadvantages of outsourcing and strategic considerations. Outsourcing, including offshoring, presents several significant disadvantages. Companies like Dell have faced customer complaints that led them to withdraw technical support from offshore centers, while GE experienced delays in product launches due to supplier issues. Long-term contracts with suppliers can lock firms into non-competitive arrangements, and continuous outsourcing may hinder a company's ability to develop new skills and core competencies. Surveys indicate that many outsourcing projects fail to deliver expected savings, with 51% of firms reporting that outsourcing did not meet their goals. Additionally, quality concerns have arisen, such as higher bug rates in software projects from India compared to US projects, and safety issues with products from Chinese manufacturers have prompted re-evaluations of offshore practices. Rising oil costs have further diminished the economic viability of offshoring, driving up shipping expenses significantly. A study identified 7 common errors in outsourcing. Outsourcing core activities that should remain in-house, selecting unreliable vendors, drafting poor contracts lacking power balance, ignoring employee morale and commitment, losing control over outsourced functions, overlooking hidden costs that negate savings, failing to plan exit strategies with reversibility clauses. To avoid these pitfalls, companies should only outsource activities that do not align with their distinctive competencies, as outsourcing critical functions can lead to a decline in competitive advantage. Firms with more experience in specific technologies often retain those functions in-house. For instance, J.P. Morgan Chase ended a technology outsourcing agreement with IBM, recognizing the strategic importance of IT. When determining a functional strategy, businesses should identify core competencies, strengthen those competencies continually, manage them to preserve competitive advantages. Outsourcing decisions should consider the value added by each activity and its potential competitive advantage. Activities with low competitive potential can be outsourced, while those that significantly contribute to products or services should be handled through long-term contracts with trusted suppliers. A balanced approach, including some in-house production, is advisable for activities that can provide competitive advantages. Full vertical integration should only be pursued when it substantially adds value and competitive edge. Dangerous strategies to avoid. Several corporate, business, or functional strategies can be perilous if managers lack creativity or conduct poor analyses. Follow the leader. Imitating a leading competitor's strategy may overlook a firm's unique strengths and weaknesses. For example, Fujitsu focused on catching IBM without recognizing that the mainframe market had matured by 1990. Hit another home run. Companies may chase after a second groundbreaking product after a successful launch, akin to betting on long shots. Polaroid invested heavily in an instant movie camera, but it failed to resonate with consumers who preferred camcorders. Arms race. Competing aggressively for market share can lead to increased costs in advertising, promotion, and R&D, which may negate any revenue gains. The airline industry, particularly after deregulation, faced numerous bankruptcies due to price wars and low profit margins. Do everything. Management might pursue multiple opportunities simultaneously, leading to resource exhaustion. The Walt Disney Company, despite initial success, found itself overextended after acquiring ABC and investing heavily in various projects, resulting in falling net income by 2000. Losing hand. Firms may become reluctant to abandon failing strategies due to prior investments, leading to further losses. Pan American Airlines, for example, sold profitable assets to keep its unprofitable airline operational, ultimately leading to bankruptcy. After evaluating potential strategic alternatives, the next crucial step is selecting the best option for implementation. A key consideration is the alignment of the chosen strategy with the insights derived from a SWOT analysis. The strategy must effectively leverage the company's strengths and opportunities while addressing weaknesses and threats. Failure to do so increases the likelihood of failure. Additionally, the strategy should aim to meet established objectives using the least resources and causing the fewest negative consequences. Developing a tentative implementation plan is essential to address potential challenges that may arise during execution. To facilitate informed decision-making, constructing corporate scenarios is vital. These scenarios are projections of financial performance, including balance sheets and income statements, that forecast the impact of each strategic alternative. A significant number of Fortune 500 companies employ computer simulation models in their strategic planning processes. The first step in creating effective corporate scenarios is to develop assumptions about the task environment, considering key factors such as GDP, inflation, and regulatory conditions for each relevant region. Next, companies should create common-size financial statements based on historical data to establish a baseline for future projections. This baseline will help estimate revenues and expenses for each strategic alternative under various scenarios: optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely. Detailed pro forma financial statements must then be constructed, listing actual figures from current financial statements alongside projections for each strategic alternative over a 5-year period. The final output should include anticipated net profits, cash flow, and working capital, which will aid in assessing the feasibility and profitability of each strategy. Although this analysis can be complex, it is crucial for making informed strategic decisions, even as subjective factors may also influence the final choice. Management's attitude toward risk. The appeal of a strategic alternative is significantly influenced by its associated risk. Risk encompasses not only the likelihood of the strategy's success, but also the resources a company must commit and the duration for which those assets will be unavailable for other uses. Companies operating in global markets face greater risks due to varying customs, regulations, and resources in different countries. The more assets involved and the longer they are tied up, the more management typically demands a high probability of success. Managers without ownership stakes often exhibit less willingness to take risks, whereas those with significant stock ownership tend to engage in riskier ventures. An illustrative example is Intel's decision in the early 1990s to invest $5 billion in developing the Pentium microprocessor, a substantial increase from previous expenditures. The board was initially hesitant due to the high stakes involved, fearing overcapacity if the decision proved wrong. However, after careful consideration, they opted to proceed, resulting in Intel capturing a dominant market share and significant profits. Risk aversion may explain why small firms often drive innovation more than large corporations. Entrepreneurs in smaller firms are typically more willing to take risks, unlike managers in large, diversified companies who may be more cautious due to the broader implications of their decisions. In environments of high uncertainty, the real options theory offers a modern approach to evaluating strategic alternatives. This method emphasizes maintaining flexibility by breaking investments into stages, allowing management to fund multiple projects initially and redirect resources based on performance. Surveys indicate that a notable percentage of CFOs employ some form of options approach for growth opportunities, and research suggests that this strategy can enhance organizational performance. Companies like Chevron, Airbus, and the Tennessee Valley Authority have successfully utilized the real options approach for various strategic decisions. However, this method's complexity makes it less suitable for minor decisions or projects requiring full commitment from the outset. Questions to assess stakeholder concerns. The attractiveness of a strategic alternative is significantly influenced by its compatibility with key stakeholders in a corporation's environment. Stakeholders, such as creditors, unions, governments, interest groups, and shareholders, have varying demands, such as timely payments, fair wages, social responsibility, and dividends. These pressures must be carefully considered when selecting the best strategic option. Stakeholders can be classified based on their interest in the corporation's activities and their relative power to influence those activities. Managers should assess stakeholder concerns by asking 4 key questions: how the decision will affect each stakeholder, what they are likely to receive under the alternative, potential reactions if their needs are unmet, and the likelihood of those reactions occurring. The goal is to choose strategies that minimize external pressures and maximize stakeholder support. However, managers may sometimes overlook or take certain stakeholders for granted, leading to significant challenges. For instance, the Tata Group faced backlash from farmers in Singha, India, who opposed the compensation for land expropriation needed for the nano auto plant. This resulted in protests and disruptions. To effectively manage stakeholder relations, top management may adopt a political strategy aimed at aligning stakeholders with corporate actions. Common tactics include constituency building, political contributions, advocacy advertising, lobbying, and coalition building. Research indicates that larger firms and those in regulated industries tend to be more politically active, as political support can be crucial for entering new markets, especially in economies transitioning to free market competition. Pressures from the corporate culture. The success of a strategy is heavily influenced by its compatibility with a company's corporate culture. When a strategy conflicts with this culture, it can lead to employee resistance, foot-dragging, and sabotage, undermining the implementation of any radical changes. Historical precedents and the values instilled by founders often shape the corporate culture, making it crucial for strategy makers to assess how well a proposed strategy aligns with this culture. When evaluating a strategic alternative, management faces several options. If there is a misalignment with the corporate culture, they can choose to ignore the culture, adapt the implementation plan to work around it, attempt to change the culture itself, or modify the strategy to better fit the existing culture. However, moving forward with a strategy without addressing cultural considerations can be risky. While sticking strictly to culturally compatible strategies may seem safe, it can also limit the exploration of potentially profitable alternatives. Thus, balancing cultural alignment with strategic innovation is essential for long-term success. Process of strategic choice. The process of strategic choice involves evaluating alternative strategies and selecting the most suitable one. A well-known anecdote from General Motors highlights the importance of constructive debate in decision-making. CEO Alfred Sloan once proposed a controversial strategy, and although his executives initially offered supportive comments, he chose to delay the decision to encourage a thorough discussion of its potential downsides. This illustrates that consensus can sometimes mask important concerns. Research by decision-making expert Paul Nutt reveals that about half of managerial decisions fail, typically due to the decision-maker's actions rather than external factors. Common pitfalls include rushing to judgment, relying too heavily on influential stakeholders, and exploring only a limited number of options. In fact, only a small percentage of managers set clear objectives and considered multiple alternatives, with many decisions relying on past experiences. Emerging evidence suggests that effective strategic decisions, especially in dynamic environments, often arise from healthy disagreement and conflict rather than unanimous agreement. Such discussions should focus on diverse opinions and trust among participants, fostering a task-oriented conflict that enhances decision quality. To facilitate this process, strategic managers are encouraged to use programmed conflict to elicit differing viewpoints while minimizing emotional costs. This approach can lead to more innovative and robust strategic choices. Techniques to avoid the consensus trap. To avoid the consensus trap highlighted by Alfred Sloan, strategic managers can employ two effective techniques: the devil's advocate and dialectical inquiry. Devil's advocate. This technique involves designating an individual or group to actively identify and present potential pitfalls of a proposed strategy, originating from the medieval Catholic Church's process for canonization. The devil's advocate's role is to ensure that all possible objections are thoroughly considered before a strategy is adopted. Dialectical inquiry. Rooted in ancient philosophical traditions, this approach involves creating two conflicting proposals, one representing the thesis and the other the antithesis. Advocates for each position present their arguments, leading to a debate that allows decision-makers to select one of the proposals or develop a new compromise. Research indicates that both methods enhance decision-making quality, particularly in dynamic environments, by fostering constructive conflict and encouraging critical evaluation. Regardless of the chosen technique, each strategic alternative must undergo rigorous evaluation based on 4 criteria. Mutual exclusivity. Each alternative should be distinct, meaning choosing one excludes the others. Success. The alternative must be feasible with a high probability of success. Completeness. It should address all key strategic issues. Internal consistency. The alternative must align with the firm's overarching goals, policies, and strategies without contradiction. Okay. In the last slide, we talk about developing policies after strategy selection. Choosing the best strategic alternative is just the beginning of the strategy formulation process. The next step involves developing policies that define broad guidelines for implementation. These policies serve as principles for decision-making and actions across the organization, influencing daily operations. For instance, General Electric's policy under Chairman Jack Welch mandated that any business unit must be among the top 2 in its market, providing clear direction for managers. Effective policies achieve 3 key objectives. Resource allocation. They force trade-offs between competing resource demands. Strategic soundness. They test the viability of specific actions against the overall strategy. Operational boundaries. They establish clear limits within which employees can operate while allowing room for experimentation. Policies tend to have a long lifespan and may even persist beyond the strategies that created them. Over time, certain policies can become ingrained in a corporation's culture, such as Nordstrom's commitment to customer satisfaction or Walmart's focus on low prices. While these policies can facilitate the implementation of strategies, they can also limit top management's future strategic options. Therefore, any shift in strategy should be promptly accompanied by adjustments in policies. Managing these policies effectively is a key way to influence and shape corporate culture.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to channel.